Gang, we back and we back and we back and we back. We're going to try this again. I'm looking at my mixing board like I'm ready to fight my electronics like they people. Like I'm giving them the side eye. Like I dare you fuck this up. Oh, it's your boy Ghetto. I'm not going to belabor the point if this is your first time tuning into my channel. Thank you so much for pulling up. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with me, and I truly do humbly appreciate that. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, and share this video with anybody who's interested in the case about ZIYAH Harris. Anybody who's interested in seeing people get the justice that they deserve. Anybody who's about fixing the community, getting the community back to life, because humbly, unfortunately, my perspective is dead, and many people in the community kind of like it that way. But that's a conversation we can have at a different time. It's your boy Ghetto. This is his ghetto point of view. 100 years is not enough. Part 2, the case of ZIYAH Harris. We're gonna get into some business, and then we're gonna get to it. Let's go.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
You're a bastard, Mr. Stubbs. You really are a Tom. You stole your friend's possessions to buy a CD-ROM, Mr. Stubbs. Your current address is at www.badodor.com.
Fair use, fair use, fair use.
But Santa, why are you taking our fish tank? Why?
Now that old dirty bastard was as smart as they get. He thought up a lie, and quickly, you bet. Phantom Menace is the best Star Wars yet. You're a biatch, Mr. Stubbs. Your heart's an open sore between you and Jar Jar Binks. Niece, I say I like him more, Mr. Stubbs.
Listen, guys, we're going to get back into this ZIYAH Harris situation. Apologies for anybody who tuned in earlier and there was an issue with the audio. But like I said, I'm giving my soundboard the side eye this whole time. See that side eye? It's for my soundboard. My soundboard start acting up. We're going to have to take it outside. We're going to have to take it to the streets. All right, then. But all jokes aside, guys, unfortunately we are here to talk about a serious topic once again. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, we got to talk about why we are allowing this to continue to go on in the community over and over and over. Why we think it's appropriate to allow people who would rob our children of their childhood to be in their life again and again and again. This man had several opportunities to change his life, stop, rehabilitate, become a pillar of the community, become somebody other people could look up to, become a shoulder to lean on for those who were trying to rehabilitate themselves and get themselves out of whatever dark place they was in. But as the judge made it clear, he's the classic case of a pedophile. He's the classic case of a serial predator. And as we go over this stuff, you'll see what I'm talking about. So let's pull this up real quick. Shout to Detroit 4 News. Let's see. Can we see that? Can we see that? Is we good? Is we good? ZIYAH Harris's murder case. Disturbing text. Search history read aloud in court. Oh, I don't think this is the first one I want to get to. Yeah, actually that was. Sorry, gang. Let's get to this. Shout to Samantha Sales, digital content producer, who did a ton of excellent coverage for the Detroit news team. Jarvis Butts accused of sexually abusing, murdering Detroit teen. But I don't know if she was a teen when they first got together, but that's all stuff we will get into. A man will soon head to trial in the murder case. Looking at my boy with the sada. A man will soon head to trial in the murder case of 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris, a Detroit girl who went missing in January 2024. A preliminary examination was held on January 6, 2025 to determine if there's enough evidence for Jarvis Butts to stand trial in the suspected murder of ZIYAH, even though she has never been found. And yes, to this point, a year later, unfortunately, she was never found. But they say they have enough circumstantial evidence to support murder, enough circumstantial evidence to support that Jarvis Butts is the person that has something to do with it. Through their preliminary trials, they were able to ascertain that, and now he's going to his formal trial. But they essentially convicted the man at the preliminary. Let's dig into it. Background: on January 9th, 2024, 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris got off the school bus. This girl still rides the school bus, y'all, in the area of Cornwall Street in 3rd Mile, which is near the intersection of Warren Avenue and Outer Drive on Detroit's east side. She was never seen again. ZIYAH's grandmother, who in my humble opinion should be in jail right next to Jarvis Butts when he go, she need to go in the same cell with his ass, said she started getting concerned when she learned she didn't get home that night, but she waited until the morning of January 10th to report her missing to the authorities. Hold on. What? January 9th, she ain't come home from school. She waited to the next day. Man, were you complicit in this situation? When you start to look at everything that happened, how she was the one she had to be the one letting him into the house, because there was witness accounts that stated he was being in the house all the time, and ZIYAH was staying at her grandmother's house. Who was letting him in the house? Who was letting him in ZIYAH's bedroom? This is disturbing, and the fact that she thinks that she can get away with this is truly troubling. But unfortunately, we've let half of the community get away with this stuff for far too long. While we address this half of the community all the time and talk about how the men ain't crap and the men ain't ish and the men need to do better and the men need to provide more and the men need to be leaders and the men need to not be so loose with their seed and they need to be more intentional. They need to be more not only intentional with their seed, but then available to the children that they're creating with these children, with their seeds, the children that they're creating with their seeds. They need to be attentive to. All things I 1000% agree with. But what I don't think is you can fix a circle or fix a whole situation by only addressing half of it. If you continue to only address half of the problem, you will never get a holistic solution. And there are a lot of people, a lot of TV shows, Law and Order, Criminal Minds, CSI, all these special victims unit shows, all these police shows, they make bank off of us not fixing our community. It ain't just our community. They make money off of our understand But what I would argue is they couldn't make money off of what goes on in our community as much if we fix these things and we address them in a holistic fashion. But people won't, though. They'll keep addressing the men, and these women who are complacent in the most heinous of situations get to keep walking away. As we keep reading, you'll hear the judge say, oh, I thought that the grandmother's testimony was not really an ideal testimony. She used a different word. You have to forgive me, it escapes my mind at the moment. Unreliable, not credible. She essentially said that ZIYAH, this man was never in their house. But as we'll read, text messages from ZIYAH clearly state that the man admitted to being in her house. And ZIYAH clearly herself admitted that he had been there on multiple occasions. So the grandmother's testimony should have been thrown out of court. She should have been held in contempt of court. She should have been fined. She should have been jailed until she was willing to admit the full truth. But the full truth would probably have implicated her in the crimes, because she is the one that was giving permission for ZIYAH and her little sister to go to the auto shop, which Jarvis Butts was a co-owner in, to do cleanup at the shop, I guess to make some money. Kind of reminds me of, I believe the movie was Paid in Full, where you had that dealer who was dating the young girl, and he was just peeling off the mama like, hey, why don't you buy some nice groceries, Miss So-and-so, Miss such and such, buy some groceries. Me and baby girl, we're not going to stay for dinner, you know, we're going to go catch a movie, and then, you know, we're going to eat at Red Lobster. You know what I'm saying? Why don't you go buy some nice groceries? Don't leave them waiting, girl. Go. We got to be more honest about what goes on in the community. Who are the gatekeepers in the community? A community that is predominantly ran by single mother-led houses. We got to be honest about who's the gatekeepers and who's the front line of defense. In an ideal world, we would have a overwhelming majority of nuclear families, and the man and woman being in a union and having their children in the union, or if they had their children before the union, click, clack, 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 shotgun wet and get your ass down to City Hall. Make this right. But we don't have that. So we got to hold accountable the people that's there, and we can't be idealistic and keep talking about this one half of the circle when if we want to fix the problem, if we want to fix the situation, we need to address the circle in its totality. Both sides make a whole, not just one half. But let's continue on with the article. On the same day ZIYAH went missing, Jarvis Butts was scheduled to turn himself into authorities on a gun charge. However, this was pushed back to February because I imagine he was already on the registered list since he was already on the registered sex offender list since 2005. He probably wasn't allowed to have a firearm. The court hearing lasted days, and the judge determined there was enough evidence for the Detroit man to stand trial. Why Jarvis Butts was charged. Hold on one second. Un momento, por favor. Before getting into the details of what happened in court, here's what we know about why Butts was charged. Prosecutors said Butts was supposed to turn himself into authorities on a gun charge on January 9th, 2024, the day ZIYAH went missing. But that date was pushed back to February. Harris allegedly met up with Butts that day, and the two reportedly went to Ypsilanti before returning back to Detroit, where Butts checked into a motel. Text records allege that Butts knew Harris was pregnant and that he began searching online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. This is crazy, y'all. Authorities believe Butts had been sexually abusing Harris since 2022 before killing her in January 2024. Prosecutors said he had a history of targeting and befriending women to get close to and sexually abuse their daughters. It's not the only sexual abuse case Butts is involved with. He's also been charged for reportedly sexually abusing 2 other young girls. Now let's check that out real quick. Local news breaking down charges groomer, pedophile faces and death of Detroit girl. Additional victims. Jarvis Butts faces a total of 8 felony charges. It's an article from September 2024. This is the man right here, Jarvis Butts. The Detroit man facing charges. Gave my mix of the side eye again. The Detroit man facing charges in connection to the death and sexual assault of a missing 13-year-old was also charged in connection to the sexual assault of 2 additional children. Jarvis Butts, 41, faces a total of 8 felony charges. 8 felony charges. We broke down the charges in the events in which the alleged assaults took place. First victim, Butts allegedly sexually assaulted a now 20-year-old Highland Park woman between April 2012 and April 2014. And mind you guys, this is all going on in Detroit. Now I get it, Detroit is a pretty big city, but you're lying to me if you tell me people didn't know what was up with this dude, yet because of, I guess, a little bit of money the man may have had. Definitely is a handsome brother. Look like one of these, you know what I mean, Boris Kojo types. You know what I mean? I get it, ladies. He's a handsome brother. He might be a bit of a affluent man in the community because he's a co-owner of a auto body shop, makes his own money, but I don't think that should allow him to constantly be in the presence of minors over and over. But maybe my sisters think differently. Hit me in the email and let me know. His ghetto point of view at Gmail. His ghetto point of view at Gmail. Better yet, send it in a cash app. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. $ his ghetto point of view. Every 10, 20, 50, $100 donation you guys send greatly helps keep this train from rolling off the tracks, because it could roll off the tracks without the help of people like you. So please give till it counts, not till it hurts. $ his ghetto point of view. Butts allegedly sexually assaulted a now 20-year-old Highland Park woman between April 2012 and April 2014 at a residence on LaSalle Boulevard in Detroit. The victim would have been around 8 to 10 years old at the time of the assaults. Butts was charged with the following in connection to this assault: 1 count of first-degree criminal sexual conduct, person under 13, defendant 17 or older, meaning the person that was being the victim was under 13 and the person doing the victimizing was 17 years or older. 3 counts of second-degree criminal sexual conduct, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. Second victim, a now 13-year-old girl. So she's now 13. Just imagine what age she was when everything popped off. A now 13-year-old girl was allegedly sexually assaulted by Butts at a residence on Stout Street in Detroit between July 15th and July 2017. The victim would have been around 4 to 6 years old at the time of the assaults. Butts was charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. Third victim, ZIYAH Harris. Now, these are only the ones they know about, family, because this is a man making his way around the community, having intimate relations with women and their daughters, or women and their nieces, or women and their cousins. Then this is a person who may have a ton of other victims out here that no one knows about. But we'll keep going. Third victim, ZIYAH Harris. 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris went missing Hold up, y'all, because I sped past this part, and I want to make sure we understand that the victim would have been around 4 to 6 years old at the time of the assaults. The victim would have been around 4 to 6 years old at the time of the assaults. Butts was charged with second-degree criminal sexual conduct, person under 13, defendant 17 or older. Third victim, the ZIYAH Harris. Again, these are only the ones we know about. 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris went missing on January 9th, 2024. Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy said Harris, after getting off a school bus at Cornwall Street and 3rd Mile Drive, met with Butts the day she went missing and went to Ypsilanti before returning back to Detroit, where Butts checked in to a motel. Did he check in with her? Was he by himself when he got back? This is crazy. So did the people who ran the hotel let him check in with this minor who clearly looks like a minor? Are they going to jail too? Oh, now we just going to throw the monster in jail, not the people who harbinged the monster or who allowed the monster to cultivate and act monstrously and perform acts of monstrosity. Nah, we're going to let all that rock. Anyway, Worthy said investigators have enough evidence that shows Harris has died, but a body has not yet been found. It's alleged Harris was pregnant with Butts' child and was looking to get an abortion at the time of her disappearance. Butts and Harris had recently known each other because he was the father of her cousins. Yes, that's right. Her auntie was in a relationship with this man. The abuse of Harris reportedly began in 2022 with sexually explicit texts. Text records allege that Butts knew she was pregnant and that he began searching online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. He was tracked to the Rouge River in Detroit the day after her disappearance, where police would later recover the clothes Harris was last seen wearing. So they recovered her clothes, but not her body. Damn. Authorities said there was damage to the clothing that could indicate a struggle. So after you already did, Butts is facing charges of first-degree murder, child sexual abuse activity, and second-degree criminal sexual conduct in connection to Harris's assault and death. I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. Let's get to these. Let me see. Court reveals disturbing messages suspect sent Detroit teen ZIYAH Harris before she went missing. Shout again to Samantha Sales for the excellent reporting. Text exchange in this article contain explicit language. Viewer discretion is advised. But before we get to that, I'm going to take a quick break. Email is on the screen. Feel free to let me know how crazy I am. Give it one moment, family. We will be right back.
Attention, please. My name is Uncle Ruckus, no relation. I want to sing y'all a brand new song I just wrote called Don't Trust Them New Niggas Over There. Sing along if you know the words. Don't trust them new niggas over there, leaving they nigga essence in the air.
Fair use.
Nappy head niggas with the fingers on the trigger. Don't trust them new niggas over there.
Are you sure that vessel stopped this shotgun?
Man, I'm like the Terminator in this vest. What, you don't believe me? Go ahead. Pull the trigger.
Now, are you sure that...
I said pull that trigger now!
You want to play rough? Okay.
Don't trust them big nostrils over yonder. They suck up so much air it'll make you wonder. Don't trust them new niggas with their spotty little nigga figures. Don't trust them new niggas over there.
Maybe had they not trusted them new niggas, she'd still be alive. But anyway, background. Prosecutor said Butts was supposed to turn himself in to authorities on a gun charge on January 9th, 2024, the day Harris went missing. But that date was pushed back to February. Harris allegedly met up with Butts that day, and the two reportedly went to Ypsilanti before returning back to Detroit, where Butts checked in to a motel. That much we've known and understand already. Text records, allege that Butts knew Harris was pregnant and began searching online about abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. It's a pretty little girl, man. That's a pretty little girl, man. Just in class, this is crazy, man. Last known photograph of ZIYAH Harris taken January 9, 2024. She went missing after leaving school that day. Dang. Authorities believe Butts had been sexually abusing Harris since 2022 before killing her in January of 2024. Prosecutors said he had a history of targeting and befriending women to get close to and sexually abuse their daughters. And yet somehow nobody knew nothing. Nobody know nothing. Nobody saying nothing. But all these women had their daughters abused, and yet not one person is speaking up. Not one person is being held culpable. Interesting. It's not only the sexual abuse case, but it's not the only sexual abuse case Butts is involved with. He's also been charged reportedly having sex and abusing two other young girls, as well as a conviction. He's already been convicted for sexual assault in 2005, which is why he was on the registry since then. Prosecutors call Butts a serial child rapist who sexually assaulted an 8-year-old family member and a girlfriend's 4-year-old daughter, who reportedly caught chlamydia. Sir, you out here giving 4-year-olds chlamydia? You allegedly out here giving 4-year-olds chlamydia, sir? This is disgusting. He was charged on September 27, 2024 as a habitual fourth-time offender. Butts and Harris had reportedly known each other because he was the father of her cousins. Yes, grown women are still having relations with this man even after him being on a offender list since 2005. Grown women are letting him have children with them even after him being on an offender list since 2005. The abuse of Harris allegedly began in 2022. Think about this. We're talking about 15 at least plus years later, 15 to 17 years later, he starts abusing this girl allegedly. He'd been on a registration since 2005. What the fuck are we doing, family? Like, yo, parental discretion is advised. Watch this with your older kids if you want them to get a better understanding. But what the flip are we doing, family? What are we doing? The abuse of Harris allegedly began in 2022 with sexually explicit texts and photos being sent to the child. He was tracked to the Rouge River in Detroit the day after her disappearance. We're going to move forward a little bit. Court reveals explicit text. Sergeant Shannon Jones, the officer in charge of the investigation of Harris's disappearance, had a copy of all the text messages exchanged between Butts and Harris dating back from 2022. She read the messages prosecutors highlighted for her to read aloud in the preliminary hearing on January 9th, 2025. The text messages reveal Butts was allegedly sending sexual sexually explicit messages and asked her for nude photos. The messages suggested there were more conversations like these previously. The text messages later in 2023 revealed Harris claimed she was pregnant and talked about having trouble in school due to her baby. The following texts were translated and spelled the way Jones specified or said when testifying in court on Thursday. And this is from September 27, 2022. ZIYAH Harris, come on. ZIYAH Harris, again, you okay? ZIYAH Harris, where are we doing it at? Your choice. But you tell me. Harris, the basement. Harris, basement. You sure? Or a job? Can you suck my... Please. He's asking this of a 11. What? Can you suck my man parts, please? And make sure you erase the messages. Okay, that is what I planned to do. June 5th, 2022. Butts, I'm at your house. Harris, ZIYAH Harris. Damn, we were just there. So how do you allow her grandmother to get on a stand and say that this man had never been in her house? Explain to me how a judge allowed this woman to remain scot-free and didn't hold her in contempt of court and didn't ask her to come explain herself when the text chain clearly suggests that this man had been in her house on multiple occasions. I'm at your house. Jarvis Butts, ZIYAH Harris. Damn, we were just there. ZIYAH Harris, you better not be in my room. I need another phone. ZIYAH Harris. ZIYAH Harris again. I miss you. Jarvis Butts, I stole your panties. This is a sick individual. And he's grooming this girl. June 24th, 2023. Jarvis Butts, send me some pictures, please. Harris, don't you still got the other pics? Jarvis Butts, no. Harris, I will send some. June 27, 2023. Jarvis Butts, are you naked yet? No, I don't want to get naked. Harris, are you mad I didn't get naked? I used to telling me no. He having a full-blown relationship with a minor. This ain't even one of those weird, she's 18, 19, so people like, yo, bro, she a kind of young thing for you, bro, but you know, we can't hold you for nothing. Nah, this is a child. Excuse me, this is a young lady. This is not a woman in any stretch of the imagination. This is a princess in training to be a queen. And we'll never get to see her queendom manifest. What are we doing, family? I used to you tell her this is a 40, well, at this time, probably 30-something-year-old man who had been in jail for double nickels. Did 10 years in the joint behind this same mess. Now, 17 years later, he's in the community doing it more, while also having relations with grown women. Harris, come on, babe. I'm sorry. Just not in the mood right now. I'm sorry. September 26, 2023. ZIYAH Harris, babe, you up? Question mark. Harris, yeah. Harris, my period haven't came at all. Hello, you there? What you mean? It have not came. Since when? Since I was in the hospital. That was last month. I'm scared. IDK, what to do? I don't know what to do. I have to go to the doctor's tomorrow. But you said you took a pregnancy test and it was negative. It did. I'm good. She said I did. So go get another one. I can't have no money. You go get one. You You ain't scared to get a plan B, get a pregnancy test, and bring it later today. Just act like you have to use the bathroom. Please, will you do it? Hello? Butts, Jarvis Butts. Okay. November 27th, 2023. Harris, I just want to talk. I really don't want to lose you. She's been so groomed. She's having Munchausen syndrome over her victimizer. Can we talk later? Yes or no? And you got to remember, this girl is in a house where she's not really getting much love. And some reports even say that the older women were competing with her over this man. Not telling this man stay the F away from this child. Not moving her to Timbuktu to get her far away from this man. Competing with that man, with her, for that man's attention and affection. Harris, I don't want your problems, but I don't know what your problem is, but I need you to bring me what I need tonight. Is going to be hard, all this gym-ish with this baby, and if I don't do them, I'm gonna get an F. This is a real child, y'all. She telling her man that she's gonna get an F in gym. You in your 30s, bruh, and you talking to a girl that says she gonna get an F in gym behind the baby you put in her. Her grandmothers, her aunties, her nays and her maymays and her tay-tays and her nays, all acting like they don't see that this girl preggo. Older pregnant women know when younger pregnant women is pregnant around them. You telling me that this girl been having her period and now her period ain't coming, obviously, and nobody's saying nothing? Nobody's saying a flipping word. January 9th, 2024. This is the final text exchange between Butts and Harris before she went missing. Harris, don't forget, be there before 3. I will let you know when I'm leaving the school. If you're not there, I will wait. Harris, send okay if you see the message so I can delete your number. Butts, okay. Shout to Samantha Siles for that. This is crazy. Guys, what? How is this not crazy? He already had he allegedly gave a 4-year-old chlamydia. There is no way this could go on in my house. There is no way a grandma should let this go on in her home. He gave a 4-year-old allegedly chlamydia, y'all. What the what are we talking about here, family? What in the world are we talking about? Let's hear quickly from the judge. Let's see if it works this time. If not, we'll just move past it.
Regarding the trial, and the one thing I had highlighted in pink is the quote, in this case there was no physical evidence such as bloodstains or a weapon leaking defendant to Joyce's death. In this case, we don't have the same facts and circumstances. I do agree this is a circumstantial case, and
fair use. 100 years is not enough. Part 2, case in the ZIYAH. Harris, let's go.
January 9th, 2025, exactly 1 year from the day ZIYAH Harris disappeared. Before I get into the charges, and the main charge of premeditated first-degree murder, I have to speak on ZIYAH Harris and the community who failed her. And I am only presented with certain evidence. I don't know the whole story. The attorneys know more than me, the family knows more than me. But from what I have heard over the last 4 days and 5 days total, is that several people failed her. I don't know where her mother is. I don't know anything other than that she was forced to live in a home where she was not protected or given the adequate attention and love. I don't know where her father is. I don't have any mention of him in her life, no presence. 2, Cordell, aka King, and all the men who saw Jarvis Butts hanging out and always around these young girls, including ZIYAH, and his 9-year-old daughter going up to the shop to clean up his shop. the school counselor who never showed up, or the person who was supposed to show up if that counselor was absent, after Neziah was on the floor on the day she went missing, saying that she needed to speak to someone and speak to a counselor. There's no mention of CPS, but I wonder what their involvement was over the years, because this was not just a one-year thing. There are text messages at least from 2022. To her adoptive grandmother, Annette Harris, whose testimony, in my opinion, was very questionable. I understand why the people put her on the...
So you saying that adopted grandmother's, damn, I thought it was her blood grandmother. So she's living in a home. Damn. Guys, this is crazy. Her grandmother taking care of her. Her mom's not around. You know, dad ain't been there. Whether her mom's and this man ever had a relationship or a union, so he would be committed to be there, is a whole different conversation. And I know my sisters like to be like, oh, that shouldn't matter. If that didn't matter, ladies, then why? Why are we preaching so much Mary before you carry if that doesn't matter? Oh, a wedding ain't gonna make it perfect. A wedding don't promise nothing. The Lord don't believe that. The law of the land makes it very clear what you are promised when you are in a union with people. There are protections you have under the law because you are married to somebody, and there are benefits you get under the law when you are married to somebody. Tax benefits, you get rights over that person, you get rights from that person, rights to that person, rights to inherit from that person, protections. You can be that person's liaison, and in a medical emergency, you can speak on that person's behalf. You have power of attorney in certain respects over that person. If they are incapacitated and unable to do things for themselves, the thought is their spouse can handle these things on their behalf. So I get y'all be trying to throw that mumbo jumbo out there, ladies, but stop the cap. We got to get back to the nuclear household. We can't just keep holding this side accountable. I get she's saying one of the men who testified, Jarvis, it was Neziah and his 9-year-old daughter that was hanging together and going to clean the shop and this and that. Why would y'all let that happen? Just why?
To establish Neziah's residence.
Was the grandmother held in contempt of court? Was she arrested? Was she locked up, Judge Sabry? Or you just, oh, she's questionable. What did that mean? And why would you not use your authority at the bench to demand the truth, to demand more answers? Because you're not trying to throw women in jail.
The house is on Bedford, and the regular routine to establish also that Neziah was not a runaway child, that she was not a bad kid. I do believe she adopted Neziah. I do believe that she had 6 kids in the house. I believe that Neziah had on the dark hoodie the day she went missing, and that she had on red and black Nikes that day. What is hard to believe is that the defendant never came into the house and she testified. And there was also a minor that testified.
This woman sat in front of sat in your court, Your Honor, and said that man had never been in her house. But the text messages clearly indicate he'd been in the house multiple times. Plus, as you're stating, there were other people who testified that the man had been in the house. So, which is it? And if you know there's a truth that's not being told to you, why would you not? Why would you not? Why would you not enact your powers to make them women talk? Protect all women, except when other women decide they don't need protection. Protect all women, except when other women decide they don't need protection. Protect all women, except when it'll get me in trouble. Remember, if I protect that woman, If I come clean about what happened with that woman, oh, something gonna happen to me and its protector of women. This is sick, y'all. Let's keep going.
That he did as well. Text messages will show between him and Ziya that he did in the basement, saying he's going to the shower, stealing her panties. He was always rushing around the house,
Stealing her panties.
from what I even thought about the breakfast routine, saying that all the kids like eating breakfast at school. Did they have a choice?
Probably not.
But to always send those girls up there to clean up the shop raises questions. And how were there two women in the house who have birthed children themselves who did not notice that Ziya was pregnant, and I believe she was,
Teach.
and not having her period anymore? But then after hearing text messages today, begging Jarvis for pads as if she didn't have anyone else to give her.
That's crazy.
And what stood out the most was when Annette Harris stood on the stand, and she learned around 6 p.m. that Ziya did not come home from school, and said she looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police. She learned begging Jarvis for pads as if she didn't have anyone else to give them for her.
Damn.
And what stood out the most was when Annette Harris stood on the stand. She learned around 6 p.m. that Ziya did not come home from school, and said she looked around for her and decided to wait until the next morning to call the police.
Who does that? Who does that?
Or an expression of being devastated. And to her aunt Shannon, who also showed no emotion, expression of being devastated from Ziya going missing. She stated that she had friends help look for Ziya, but was directed to just wait until the morning to call the police.
Who was she directed to do that by? Is this not at this point a conspiracy? Is this not at this point a conspiracy? Multiple people know she's missing, but they are directing the other individuals to not call the police. Wait till the morning. And those other individuals are acquiescing or agreeing to not call the police. How is this not at this point a conspiracy and these not the conspirators? I don't give a damn if he get 100 years. They could split another 100 between them. 100 years is not enough. Let's go.
A grown woman who likely suspected something strange going on didn't feel the need to call the police. They were both able to go to sleep at night without hearing from Ziya or having any indication that she was coming home that night. And of course, the descendant, who I will get to in a minute. I don't know who else failed Ziya, but he did. As far as the people establishing probable cause, I will focus on count 1 as it's been stated that there is no contention with counts 2 and 3. In count 3, I will amend based off of the motion and testimony I heard that Ziya was 12 and not 13 at the time. Jarvis Butts had sexual intercourse. The prosecution is correct. You do not have to have a body to establish first-degree premeditated murder. It would have been a much shorter exam had her body been found, but this is where we are.
This is where we are, y'all. Damn.
No text messages. We all heard today and yesterday that she was very active and frequently texting.
Oh, you know them girls be on them phones.
We heard through testimony that she was also active on social media. No phone calls, which she was also able to do according to testimony. No physical sighting of her by anyone. She never came back to school. No one has seen her. July 2014 to October 2023 indicated that she had no life-threatening medical issues that would lead to a natural cause of death. The black hoodie found in the area of 7 Muhlenberg with her DNA and blood on it. The holes in the hoodie consistent with some sort of struggle, violence, or weapon being used. And we know that there were no holes in that hoodie when she wore it to school. We saw a picture of her in a black hoodie on her last day that everyone saw her.
Dang.
I do believe her grandma testified truthfully about the sweatshirt that she had on and that was practically new. And the border agent who said that no evidence of animals would have destroyed the clothing or the shoes to possibly lead to animals tearing up that hoodie. The clear glasses found in the blue Nissan.
I think what she was trying to say, family, is there was no evidence that animals had messed up the clothes or messed with the clothing. The clothing still looked fairly new. So let's keep going.
Behavior of the defendant when he snatched those glasses. They looked exactly like the glasses she had on in her last picture, according to the witness.
Damn.
The shoes that her brother described as the same shoes that were found also in the area of 7 Mile and Bird. While this is still probable cause, the evidence all points to Jarvis Butts. His locations, him being seen with her last, the abortion searches, the abrupt silence between the two of them in text messages, and the constant lies he told throughout the entire investigation. And they were proven to be lies with text messages and other testimony. We may never know what happened, but from what I heard today and over the last 4 or 5 days, it appears he intended to perform what he thought was a do-it-yourself abortion on ZIYAH and went south, and instead of seeking medical attention for her, he intentionally, for the last 4 or 5 days, it appears he intended to perform what he thought was a do-it-yourself abortion on ZIYAH and went south, and instead of seeking medical attention for her, he intentionally killed her and tried his best to cover it up. As much as I want her to be alive today, there is at least probable cause to show and believe that she's dead and she was murdered by Jarvis Butts. Mr. Butts, stand up. You've been sitting over there for 4 days with your head down, sitting between and behind your attorneys with your mask on and taking vigorous notes. I want you to pay attention and listen to everything I have to say. I have been trying to figure out for the last 5 days, you. At one point, I thought you were cognitively impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old, and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you're just the true definition of a pedophile. Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them, and having them in your presence, clean definition of a pedophile. At one point, I thought you were cognitive.
So is her grandmother then the true definition of a negligent parent? Is her auntie then the true definition of an accessory? Let's keep going.
Impaired in the beginning of this exam. And then maybe you had the brain of a 10-year-old, and that's why you were doing such things. But as I heard more and more testimony, you're just the true definition of a pedophile. Watching you laugh and brag about all the women you have with different women and the children and the girlfriends, and making babies to groom them, and having them in your presence, and cleaning up your shop. And the little girls around you have landed you here today. You groomed ZIYAH. You played mind games with her. We all heard that. You controlled her emotionally. She was exposed to so much at such a young age. The text messages between you two were disgusting to hear. And to think that she had you saved in her phone as bae for life. ZIYAH deserved so much more. And while I mentioned other people that failed her, Jarvis Butts, you are the monster in this whole picture. She did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life. She was ignored, she was neglected, and you took complete advantage of that. She wanted someone to love her, and she will never know what that feels like. Your children deserve more. much as defense counsel has raised issues on count 1, all that has done is raise the question of fact for the trier of fact, which means that this will be for a jury or a judge to hear in Third Circuit. I pray for the healing of all the victims and the young girls and possibly boys who have come into contact with you. As a community, we should look at this case as a prime example of how much work we have to do when it comes to protecting our children and especially our black girls. I pray for
Stop it. Stop it. I don't want to hear that from y'all. Don't give me the church. Tell it, Sister Queen, after y'all let this nigga do this. Preach. Oh, yes, she's telling it. She's telling it like it is. Y'all ain't nothing. I would lock the doors of the courtroom. Everybody going to jail. I'd be like Oprah of jail. Nigga, you get a sentence. You get a sentence. You get a sentence. Bailiffs, remand all these niggas.
And for you, Jarvis Butts, I wish you a speedy trial and that justice be delivered.
Y'all don't get to get off, man. But she is right. He is the person who did the offense. Let's check a quick quote from the book of Matthew, man. Book of Matthew, chapter 18 and verse 6. But who shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me? It were better for him that a millstone would hang about his neck and that he would drown in the depth of the sea. Let me say that again. Because mother flippers had the nerve to sit there on panels yesterday talking about, oh, I know the Bible say forgive. No, that's not what it say here. Should people be given chances to redeem themselves? Yes. Should people be given chances at rehabilitation? Yes. Can people change from the deepest, darkest, most unimaginable things? 1,000% if they truly want to. This man doesn't want to change. As she said, he is gloated about all the women in the community he has, all the women he's making babies with, and the grooming that's going on. He didn't want to change. He is a serial offender. He doesn't see things to change from. She said she's not a therapist or a psychologist, but she did her best to ascertain his mental acuity, his mental faculties, his mental state. This man is just a predator. The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 6. But whoso, that's like whoever, causes one of these little ones who believe in he, I'm not going to say me, he, to sin, whoso offended one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. In the New King James, but whoever causes one of these little ones who believe in me to sin, it would be better for him if a millstone were hung around his neck and he were drowned in the depth of the sea. I think it's pretty clear. I think that's pretty clear. What y'all think? Y'all think that's pretty clear? Because I think it's pretty clear. take a quick break.
Don't understand is that if it's so offensive to them, then why do they say it over and over again?
So Riley said the N-word before you did that morning.
He says it every morning. He calls me nigga. He calls the other kids nigga. He calls himself nigga all the time. Nigga this, nigga that, nigga please, bitch nigga, have you lost your mind? Nigga, check that hoe. Nigga, you bullshitting. Break yourself, nigga. He says it so much I don't even notice it anymore. Last week in lunch, Riley says to a classmate, "Can a nigga borrow a French fry?" And my first thought wasn't, oh my God, he said the word, the N-word. It was, now how is a nigga gonna borrow a fry? Nigga, is you gonna give it back? I'm telling you, my inside voice didn't talk like that before he got in my class.
He said I said it first. Man, I'm telling you, I seen the hatred in his eyes the first time I walked in the class. All he saw when he looked at me was a black nigga.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 9. Excuse me. Book of Isaiah, chapter 9. We're going to start at the 16th verse, y'all. For the leaders of this people cause them to err, cause them to error, cause them to break the law. The leaders of this people cause them to err. Oh, like grandma, like auntie, like the nays and the tay-tays and the may-mays. The leaders of this people cause them to err, cause them to sin, cause them to fall, cause them to make mistakes, influence them to make poor decisions. And they that are led of them are destroyed. And they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows. For every one is an hypocrite and a evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. Oh, he was never in the house. You call that questionable? You a leader too, Judge Saber. Questionable? It's questionable. Again, for the leaders of this people cause them to err, and they that are led of them are destroyed. Therefore the Lord shall have no joy in their young men, neither shall have mercy on their fatherless and widows. For everyone is an hypocrite and an evildoer, and every mouth speaketh folly. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out. For wickedness burneth as the fire, it shall devour the briars and thorns, and shall kindle in the thickets of the forest, and they shall mount up like the lifting of smoke. Through the wrath of the Lord of hosts is the land darkened, and the people shall be as the fuel of the fire. No man shall spare his brother. My God. Is that where we are? Where all of these older women and all these brothers could have spared these children these problems, but no man shall spare his brother. My God. Fair use.
Nearly a year since the disappearance of 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris. Her body has never been found, but 42-year-old Jarvis Butts is accused of sexually assaulting her and killing her.
I saw ZIYAH the day she went missing.
Tijuana Butts is the defendant's sister.
I kept seeing a little girl get in and out of his truck, going to the gas station and going back to his car.
Butts testifying she had stopped by her brother's auto shop on the east side for him to look at her car when she spotted a girl she didn't recognize. Jarvis told her it was his business partner's niece.
I just remember her having on a colorful jacket.
His partner's niece spotted a girl she didn't recognize.
spotted a girl she didn't recognize, stop the cat.
By her brother's auto shop on the east side for him to look at her car when she spotted a girl she didn't recognize. Jarvis told her it was his business partner's niece.
I just remember her having on a colorful jacket.
Butts says she didn't think much of it until later. This is a photo of Harris on her bus the day she disappeared in that jacket. Butts getting emotional as she testified about suspecting her brother. Jarvis Butts was already a convicted sex offender. Records show he had spent nearly 10 years in prison for sexually assaulting a teenager. In this case, prosecutors say Jarvis Butts has several children with Neziah's aunt and was secretly preying on Neziah, grooming her, even getting her pregnant, and then killing her.
Was he a secretive person to you?
Yes, he's very secretive.
Latricia Johnson has one child with Jarvis Butts. She testified Butts borrowed her car on January 9th.
Think about this. A man you have a child with, you saying he's secretive. Yo, these women is doing everything in their power to absolve themselves from murder. These women is all complicit in murder. But they will throw this man under the bus. And not one person. This sister judge gonna let this sisterhood of the traveling nonsense keep going. This is a sisterhood of nonsense. This sisterhood of nonsense should not be allowed to keep going. This is absolute disgusting what the sisterhood will do. They will not even save another sister. They will save themselves. They all complicit in murder. They all complicit in murder. Let's go.
2024, the day Neziah Harris disappeared.
He called and asked if he can use my car to do something with his son.
Was this normal, abnormal?
No, not normal.
Johnson testifying when he brought her car back the next day, Jarvis Butts had left something in the back seat, something believed to belong to Neziah Harris.
There was a pair of glasses that was left that my son was playing with. They were clear and they were on my son's face. So I told him to take them off. When he take them off, he handed to me. Oh, Jarvis said, "Oh, those are my sunglasses," and he snatches it from my hand.
Other evidence on this day, clothing discovered in a search near the Rouge River believed to have been dumped by Jarvis Butts.
We collected a pink jumpsuit, like bodysuit style, and then a black hoodie that had a pair of white headphones in one of the pockets, some gloves, a towel, and a pair of red, black, and white gym shoes.
Testimony in this preliminary exam resumes Tuesday morning. Amy Lang, Fox 2 News.
They let that man get away with abusing that girl. They let that man get away with abusing that girl. And arguably other girls. For what benefit? How did they benefit? Was it financial gain? Was it having a relationship with this man? Was he such a man of so much machismo that they couldn't do without having him in their life? This is disturbing, man. Take a quick break.
Maybe R. Kelly did urinate on this woman, but America urinated on R. Kelly. Oh. And if you let them put this man in jail, America will urinate on each and every one of you. Salaam alaikum.
Alaikum salam, brother.
Please, people! You saw the tape. The girl testified she was underage. You're not allowed to do that to a little girl. We have a videotape.
Go tell that to your white bitch. Mm-hmm.
But the girl was...
You're not allowed to do that to a little girl. And the black women say, they go tell that to your white woman. They need to bring Boondocks back. Aaron Magruder was literally a genius, but I'll leave that alone for right now. The Griot, shout to the Griot. Detroit man charged with murdering 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris highlights how society fails black girls, says judge. Jarvis Butts, 42, has been charged with kidnapping and murder. Who has been charged with kidnapping and murder has been ordered to stand trial a year after ZIYAH Harris went missing. Alarming text messages between the two revealed a disturbing exploitation of a young girl. Article by Kay Wicker. A year after 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris went missing from her school bus stop in Detroit, Michigan, a 42-year-old man has been charged with her kidnapping and murder and will stand trial. On Thursday, January 9th, 2025, Jarvis Butts, who's been charged with first-degree premeditated murder, second-degree criminal sexual conduct, and child sexually abusive activity, was ordered to stand trial, CBS News reported. ZIYAH went missing on January 9th, 2024, when she was last seen leaving her school bus stop at the end of the school day. Her body has still not been recovered. Her grandmother, Annette Harris, recalled dropping her off at school that morning and searching through the neighborhood and at her school when she didn't return home that afternoon. But then you decided not to call the cops till the next morning. Butts had it. Is that because she, in her mind, she's like, oh, she must be with so-and-so, and I don't want to get in trouble because I let her be with so-and-so all night. So let me just wait. He'll bring her back. He always brings her back. Butts had been the on and off again boyfriend of the preteen's aunt, Shannon Harris, who he shared 5 children with. Harris testified she didn't suspect anything was going on between them. What? You didn't suspect anything was going on between this offender and your niece?
The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Beyond a standard niece-uncle relationship. What? You thought he had a standard niece-uncle relationship? Got you. Which text messages between, but you see what they don't want to say here in the Griot is that, according to an interview on Court TV that her cousin gave, Jarvis Butts was open with the auntie about his past, and she was more than willing to be in a relationship with him. Text messages between ZIYAH and Butts read in court last week revealed the two had planned to meet up after school on the day of her disappearance. Had to give my mixer the side eye one more time. I'm telling you, me and this mixer gonna fight. According to Fox 2 Detroit, the outlet reported ZIYAH had been deleting her correspondence with Butts. Text also showed that ZIYAH allegedly told Butts her period was late. And you telling me none of these women recognize that? How do you not recognize that? Explain to me how you don't recognize that. Prosecutors said they also revealed Butts knew ZIYAH had gotten pregnant and previously had been accused of sexually abusing 2 girls as young as 8 and 4 years old, with the latter of which he gave an STD. As we saw in the previous article, it's alleged chlamydia. Prosecutors argued on Thursday that they had enough evidence to charge Butts per the outlets. Their evidence includes cell tracking data, belongings found In the areas linked to Butts, Google searches of abortion methods and testimonies from Butts' business partner and someone who claims to have seen Butts and ZIYAH together the day she went missing. CBS News reported that over 20 witnesses, including experts, family members, and law enforcement officials, testified in the court over the last 4 days. The defense argued that there isn't enough of a connection between the alleged evidence to suggest that Butts is responsible for ZIYAH's death. However, Judge Aliyah Sabri found that there was enough for a jury trial. She has sent the case to a Third Circuit court for trial. "You're the monster in this whole picture," Sabri told Butts in court on Thursday, January 9, 2025, per CBS News. "ZIYAH did deserve love from her parents and everyone who was in her life," the judge continued. "She was ignored. She was neglected. So why are you not charging her grandmother and her aunties and them with neglect? You're saying she was neglected. So where's the charges? Where's the remanding them to holding until you get more information?" And you took complete advantage of that. He can only take advantage of the situation they presented him to take advantage of. You can't just keep dealing with one half of the problem. If we want the situation fixed, we want the community whole again, everybody gotta be fixed or nobody. But nah, too many people benefit from the community staying the way it is. That's my ghetto point of view. You can take it and let it alone. You know where the email, you know the email. She wanted someone to love her, and she will never know what that feels like. I pray for the healing of all the victims and the young girls and possibly boys who have come into contact with you. Butts has also been charged with the sexual abuse of 2 other girls in unrelated cases. In her remarks, Sabri added a plea to the community to see this as a prime example of how much more work needs to be done when it comes to protecting children, especially Black girls. According to bravehearts.org, signs of sexual abuse include children becoming quieter, changes in their sleeping or eating, regressive behaviors, and sharing knowledge of sexual information that is beyond their developmental stages. Shout to the Griot for the dope article. Let's take a look at some of the evidence that was presented by one of the investigators during the preliminary hearings. Fair use, fair use, fair use.
The next page includes searches that I located inside that Google return that we received.
Actually, before we go with this one, let's check this one out.
On a missing person case, well, obviously
this is the same investigator. It's just multiple days, so I guess she was just dressed differently on different days. Let's go.
making contact with family and getting some witness interviews. We also prep a warrant request that's submitted to the prosecutor.
So, you're responsible for collecting evidence?
Yes.
And you're responsible for coordinating the evidence?
Correct.
Okay. You conduct interviews, correct?
Yes.
And in fact, you conducted several interviews in this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You submit evidence for testing, correct?
Pardon me?
You submit evidence for testing?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Before we let that continue, I believe this is Officer Sharon Jones, who was in charge of the situation. So let's read this article about her real quick. WXYZ Detroit ABC station. Final witness takes stand in the ZIYAH Harris disappearance murder case. Sergeant Shannon Jones, the officer in charge of that case, will continue testifying Thursday. As the preliminary hearing continues in the ZIYAH Harris case, the final witness has taken the stand as the court heard testimony about the possible motive behind the teen's disappearance being that she became pregnant. the hearing about whether Jarvis, it says hurting, it does say hurting. I'm a damn Darren Cunningham, just rushing articles out. The hearing about whether Jarvis Butts will face trial continues tomorrow. Who is the editor there? Because, you know, he's supposed to hand this to an editor. I know when I write articles, I had to hand it to my editor, and she would get on me about my writing. She would get on me, boy. But she published all my articles. Shout out to you, Jess Blaze, and shout out to the Indie Source magazine family. But anyway, the prosecution called their final witness Wednesday in the preliminary hearing for Jarvis Butts. He is accused of sexually assaulting and killing 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris, who disappeared January 9th, 2024. Sergeant Shannon Jones, the officer in charge of the case, was that witness, and will continue testifying Thursday when Wayne County's interim deputy chief medical examiner Omar Reyes testified. He said he was asked to review ZIYAH's medical records to see if anything in her health history would explain a cause of death. The prosecution asked Reyes, excuse me, I don't want to mispronounce the man's name, Reyes I'm going to say, or Ray. Did you see anything in there that would have caused ZIYAH to die naturally? Reyes replied, no. The defense took exception with that testimony since ZIYAH's body has not been recovered. It's Reyes right there. The defense asked Reyes, so if you don't have a body, you can't really opine this to whether a person is in fact deceased. Fair to say, he replied, correct. At the start of Jones's testimony, she explained how she inherited the case from Detroit Public Schools Community District Police Department. So this was a case initially at the Detroit Public School Community District Police Department, and the red flags that stood out to her from the start. Number one, she had never been missing before. There's been no updates on any of her social media, which is very uncommon for a young child or a juvenile. They're addicted to those whole facts, and that's the way they've created it. There had been a last known contact that she had possibly met somebody, is what we were informed. That there was a text message, Jones explained. The sergeant discussed the search of River Rouge area where clothing items like a shoe later determined to match one belonging to ZIYAH were found. Jones said investigators executed at least 20 search warrants in the case, including for electronic devices belonging to Butts. They say they found questionable Google searches from December 2023, 1 month before ZIYAH disappeared. The searches surrounded the belief that Butts impregnated ZIYAH and tried to cover his tracks. What's visited? It's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the herbal abortion tea by Maya, Jones read. She said he also visited Planned Parenthood's website and looked up further information about an abortion pill. Jones said Butts also Googled whether a person can use herbs to have an at-home abortion and if a person can drink red antifreeze. Court resumes with Jones on the stand Thursday morning. Let's continue. Fair use.
I've seen you, the prosecution referred to you to make sure they haven't missed anything, correct?
What was your question?
The prosecution had referred back to you to make sure they hadn't missed anything, correct?
Correct.
So you're the person that makes sure everything in the file is together, correct?
Correct.
And you interviewed several of Mr. Butts' girlfriends, correct?
Yes.
You interviewed, I believe, Tashiana Davis and Shannon Harris on the 15th.
Yes.
And you interviewed Najeen Rushing on the 29th, correct?
I haven't looked at that date, but I trust that that's the 29th.
Okay. Did you interview any of his other girlfriends?
Yes.
Okay, which girlfriends did you interview?
I interviewed Kizzy Young.
Okay.
There's Tashiana Davis.
Okay.
Angela, and I just cannot remember her last name at the moment, but she is who he resides with on Wilshire.
Okay.
I attempted to make a phone call to another girlfriend. I'd have to look at my reports, but she never came in for an interview.
All right.
There is another girlfriend who, her name is Lucretia Bryant Hauser.
Okay.
That may be all the girlfriends. I may be missing one. I would have to relook at all the witness statements.
So you are aware that Mr. Butts has quite a few girlfriends, correct?
Correct.
All right. And from the very beginning of this case,
Just think about that, y'all. All these women is involved with this man that they know for a fact has this criminal record. And he's behaving questionably around other girls, young girls. Come on, y'all. But we don't want to hold none of the other half of the community accountable. We just want to keep arguing and yelling and poo-pooing and begrudging this half. And again, 100 years is not enough. Give them all the years you can. Don't spare one. But if we want to fix this thing, if we want the reunification of the community, we gotta holistically deal with both parts and their culpability in the situation. We can't just deal with one half. We have to deal with both sides. Let's keep going.
you suspected, from your beginning of the case, you suspected Jarvis Butts had something to do with ZIYAH being missing, correct?
Well, when we were discussing the case on the first day, February 12th, DPS had told us the last person that they had contact with, and they identified as Jarvis Butts. And then on February 15th, when we verified that ZIYAH was in fact with him and Cordell on the ride out to Ypsilanti, which is the last day that she was seen, then he became the primary suspect.
Okay. And from the beginning, you didn't suspect this was a missing person case, correct?
Well, she's missing. It's been a missing person case. I don't understand your question, I guess.
So you suspect that she was deceased, correct?
I didn't expect that she's deceased from day one. It takes a lot of investigation before you can come to that conclusion.
Okay.
It's not going to be one of those right away. You have to rule out every other possibility.
All right. Didn't you tell Shannon Harris in her interview on the 15th that this is not a missing person case at this point?
I believe I told her that it was not being handled by DPS as a missing person case at that point, and that it's being handled at Detroit Police Homicide Missing Persons.
So you didn't tell her that this was not a missing person case? We're no longer looking for a missing person?
I don't believe that would have been my exact wording. On February 15th?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't believe that would have been my wording, that I would have already come to some conclusion that she was deceased on the 15th.
Okay. Now, during your investigation, did you receive information that ZIYAH had thought about running away?
Yes.
Okay. Also, during your investigation, did you receive information about a potential sex trafficking ring?
There was several different leads or...
Excuse me? Repeat that.
Now, during your investigation, did you receive information that ZIYAH had thought about running away?
Yes.
Okay. Also, during your investigation, did you receive information about a potential sex trafficking ring?
There was several different leads or tips that come in about sex trafficking rings. All those were investigated.
Okay. Now, you interviewed my client, you yourself, with, I believe your partner was Sergeant Lynch, is his name?
Sergeant Sullivan?
Sergeant Sullivan, I'm sorry.
Yes.
You interviewed my client 3 times, correct?
A minimum, I believe, one the 31st, the 1st, and I believe we went back again possibly after that.
July 20th?
It sounds about right.
Okay. And you interviewed him 3.5 hours, May 31st, correct?
Yeah, is that the time on the recording? Then
Yes.
Okay.
An hour and a half, the second time, correct?
Correct.
And roughly 45 minutes, I believe it was like 38 and some change, third time.
Okay.
So you interviewed him for close to 6 hours?
That could be true.
Okay. And you took statements from my client, correct?
I mean, we recorded the interview.
Okay. You didn't reduce anything to writing, correct?
No.
He never signed anything,
But
correct?
he signed his advice of right.
Signed advice of right, but he never looked at what he had told you or what your conversation was, correct?
I mean, he verbally acknowledged things throughout the investigation. I did not reduce it down to handwriting.
And your conversation that you had with him, for lack of a better term, was rather fluid, correct?
Was what?
It was rather fluid.
It's a conversation.
There was a back and forth conversation where both you and your partner were talking.
Fair use, fair use, fair use, fair use.
A conversation between the three of us?
Right.
Yes.
Okay. And you told him that you wanted to tell his side of his story, correct?
Correct.
He did tell you that he was joking about the messages he sent, correct?
The initial messages?
Yes.
So in the very beginning of the interview, he starts off where he denies that that was her. He claimed that he was sending them to his child's mother. It then turned into that he was just joking around with ZIYAH for entertainment purposes. Then he admits to that all the messages were in fact to ZIYAH and not to Shannon, because he could never tell that that wasn't Shannon talking as you went through the rest of the messages.
But he told you that. So throughout your 3 conversations, your 6-hour conversations with him, he never acknowledged harm, did he?
I don't believe I ever asked him that direct question. He never, he had never acknowledged having sex or touching. That was asked multiple times of whether there was ever any type of touching. It was asked about the text messages where some of them are saying again that would presume that there had already been a time, and he simply said that it was still just texting for entertainment purposes.
Okay. Now, during your investigation, I'm sorry.
Nigga, what kind of entertainment you get out of texting a little girl? Can you suck me? What entertainment you getting out of this, sir? This is crazy. This is crazy that he would even try to suggest that this is just something he's doing for entertainment. Let's keep going.
Specifically on the 20th, you and your partner came over and asked him.
The 20th of what?
July.
July?
This will be the 3rd conversation.
Okay.
On the 20th, you asked him, does he ever hang out on the west side, correct?
I haven't reviewed that full interview, but I do remember asking him about the west side, yes.
And he told you...
Objection, Your Honor. They can't admit their credit statements. 720 was not admitted.
Do you want to respond, or do you want me to rule?
No.
Sustain.
Did you get any information that he had a child on the west side?
He does have a child's mother that lives on the west side, yes.
Okay. So that could be a reason for him to be on the west side, correct?
It could be a possibility.
Okay. But in your interview, he spoke with you freely, correct?
Correct.
He didn't argue with you. I believe you had a search warrant for his DNA, but he didn't argue with that. He freely gave you his DNA, didn't he?
I don't believe I did. I don't think I collected his DNA. Somebody else presented a search warrant for that.
You're right, I'm sorry. You weren't the one that, but he didn't argue with anyone. He gave you DNA freely, correct?
Correct.
Okay. He gave you his passcode to his phone, correct?
Correct.
All right. Now, you said you that you searched the 7 Mile and Bird area, correct?
Yes.
And you mentioned that this was a former golf course. Now it's abandoned, correct?
Yes.
And there is a parking structure across the street, correct?
Oh, well, parking lot.
A parking lot, thank you.
Yes.
And this abuts the Rouge River, correct?
Yes.
There's also residential streets over there, correct?
Correct.
Shiawassee over there, correct?
Yes.
Appleton, Pembroke, Vassar, those are all residential streets, correct?
Yes.
And those are all in the same area, correct?
Correct.
So if you think this defense is going to get that man off, you've lied to yourself. I'm going to move on to the second clip of her going over some of the evidence, because I guess this is the defense, when the defense is cross-examining the head of the case. I'm not sure what he thinks he's going to do with this. I'm really at a loss for what he thinks he's going to do with this. But first, News Nation, ZIYAH Harris's murder suspect to stand trial. News Nation, a Michigan judge has ruled the Detroit man charged in the death of a missing 13-year-old ZIYAH Harris will stand trial. District Court Judge Leah Sabry deemed there was enough evidence against Jarvis Butts, 42, after a week-long preliminary hearing in which several witnesses testified about the young girl's disappearance last year. Prosecutors presented cell tower tracking data, testimony from several people leading up to ZIYAH's disappearance, and the girl's belongings found in the area Butts were reportedly last seen in the days she went missing as evidence. Butts had allegedly been sexually abusing ZIYAH. The evidence in the case will clearly show that the defendant's alleged actions were beyond predatory. They were vulturous. He groomed and preyed upon ZIYAH with expertise. We will prove that he killed young ZIYAH after he found out she was pregnant at 13 with his child, Wayne County Prosecutor Kim Worthy said in a statement. Butts' defense unsuccessfully argued a lack of connection between the alleged evidence to suggest Butts intended and caused ZIYAH's death. Motherfuckers just sat there and tried to say it was for entertainment. You lost your mind. After making her decision, the judge called Butts the monster in this whole picture as he stood in court. CBS News reported ZIYAH was ignored, she was neglected, and you took advantage of that. Skipping forward, Butts was charged with first-degree premeditated murder, child sexually abusive activity, and criminal sexual conduct. Here's a timeline of ZIYAH's disappearance and alleged killing. ZIYAH goes missing. ZIYAH was reported missing January 9th, 2024 by her grandmother and adoptive mother, Annette Harris, when she didn't come home from school. Harris said the young girl had never gone missing from school before. Prosecutors say ZIYAH used a school-issued tablet to send messages from her class to a device associated with Butts to confirm they would be meeting after she got out of school that day. Damn. Using the school tablet. Surveillance video showed ZIYAH leaving school. The girl then met Butts and a co-worker, and they went back to their Detroit auto repair shop. Damn. According to prosecutors. Yo, your co-worker is a complete... Yo, bro, throw that dude in jail too. Throw him in jail too. If that's what's going on, throw him in jail too. That's insane. Butts, his co-worker, and ZIYAH reportedly drove in the co-worker's car to Ypsilanti, Michigan, and then returned to the shop. Butts' phone reportedly places him at these locations. Butts reportedly checked into a motel from 9:30 p.m. to 12:20 p.m. Or should that be a.m.? Was it a 3-hour stay, or I'm kind of confused? Or was it to the following day? Possibly to the following day. We'll just go with that. ZIYAH was not seen again. Prosecutors say alleged abuse. Prosecutors said Butts knew the girl because he was in a relationship with ZIYAH's aunt, Shannon Harris, with whom he had 5 children. Harris testified during the preliminary hearing that she found inappropriate Instagram messages between ZIYAH and Butts after the girl went missing. Prosecutors alleged Butts sent ZIYAH multiple texts of a sexually explicit nature starting in September 2022. The young girl also reportedly sent explicit texts. ZIYAH's 8-year-old cousin testified that on 2 separate occasions, Butts took them and another child to the auto shop where he worked. The outlet reported who gave permission for them to do this. Was it the grandmother who became her adopted mom? Who gave permission for this to happen? The child said Butts sexually abused ZIYAH on both occasions. Was he doing this in front of the other kids? In September 2023, ZIYAH allegedly texted Butts that she had not had her period, and evidence showed that Butts knew she was pregnant in November 2023, prosecutors said. Butts' phone records reveal online searches including abortions, abortion pills, and drinking red antifreeze. Butts' connection. Butts was in the Rouge River area in Detroit one day after the girl was reported missing, and the clothing ZIYAH was last seen wearing was found in the same area. Skipping ahead, lead investigator Sergeant Shannon Jones testified about several concerns after the girl went missing, Court TV reported. Number one, she had never been missing before. There was no updates on any of her social media, which is very uncommon for a young child or juvenile. They're addicted to those. There had been a last known contact that she had possibly met somebody, is what we were informed, that there was a text message, Jones told the judge. Jones said investigators found suspicious Google searches from December 2023 on electronic devices belonging to Butts 1 month before ZIYAH disappeared. What's visited, it's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the herbal abortion tea by Maya, Jones testified. Detroit Public School Police Department investigated the case until early February 2024 and then turned it over to the Detroit Police Department. Damn. Let's jump back in. Fair use.
What it is you received back from Google as it relates to a search warrant for Jarvis Butts 82@gmail.com?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of people's proposals.
The next page includes searches that I located inside that Google return that we received from Google.
Okay. And does that document fairly and accurately depict what it is you received back from Google as it relates to a search warrant for Jarvis Butts 82@gmail.com?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of people's proposed exhibit. I forgot. 63.
Any objection?
No objection.
You give it as people 63?
Okay. And I want to go back to the first page. The subscriber information. Tell me, who is the subscriber?
So it has a Google account ID number, then it gives a name that says Jarvis Butts. It has an email address, jarvisbutts82@gmail.com. There's also a phone number that's connected to it, which is 313-585-8719.
And is there a birthday associated with that?
Yes, November 21st, 1982.
And moving on to the searches, what dates do those searches encompass?
These searches are December 9th, December 9th, 10th, and 11th of 2023.
Okay. And it's fair to say that those are all, the entirety of all of the searches from those days.
It is not all of them, no.
Those are just select ones from the Google return.
Yes.
All right. Starting with December 9th, tell me which ones that we have in that exhibit.
So the first, you want me to read the ones that are just highlighted, or you want me to start at the top of here?
Just start with the ones that are highlighted.
Yep, so this search was December 9th, 2023 at 3:32 UTC time. So you would actually have to subtract 5 hours, which would make it the night of December 8th. And the site is, what's visited, it's Drink Me and Abort Your Baby, the Herbal Abortion Tea by Maya.
And what about the next one after that?
There is a site that's visited on December, it says here December.
Fair use. 20 years is not enough. Part 2, the case of ZIYAH Harris. GHETTO REACTZ. Let's go.
Parenthood.org/learn/abortion/the abortion pill. The next search is immediately after that, so December 10th at 9:32 p.m. UTC, the abortion pill, get the facts about medication abortion. There is a search that was conducted before that on December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC. And that site is plannedparenthood.org/blog/can I use herbs to have an abortion at home.
And
the next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:31 p.m. UTC.
How? I just want to know how did Jarvis Butts' defense attorney think he was going? Sir, how did you think the leaders of my people calls him the herb, man? Like, how did you think you was going to get him off on this, man? I get it, it's your job, you have to try, but Jesus Christ, this is man, crazy.
Can I use herbs to have an abortion at home? Planned Parenthood.
The next one?
The next one is December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. UTC, so again, minus 5 hours. And that site is, it's ANSIRH.org, research, over-counter medication abortion. Search December 10th, 2023 at 9:36 p.m. Over-the-counter medication abortion, and that's in that same place before ANSIRH. December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, abortion, the abortion pill. How do I have an abortion using only misoprostol, misoprostol.
Excuse me.
December 10th, 2023 at 9:32. Planned Parenthood, learn abortion, the abortion pill. So it's like the same, back and forth to the same site. On December 11th at 11:43 p.m. UTC, so minus 5 hours, specifically is searched is Can I drink red antifreeze? Again, that same item is searched 3 p.m. UTC, so minus 5 hours. Specifically is searched is, can I drink red antifreeze? Again, that same item is searched again right after the same time, 11:43 on December 11th, 2023. And I believe that's it.
This dude is a monster. We'll be right back. This dude is a monster. Can I drink red antifreeze and be all right?
The lie detector determined that was a lie. The lie detector determined that was a lie.
Yeah, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. Take a quick break.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
What's good? What's really good? Y'all already know, folks. Riley Freeman, a.k.a. Young Reezy, doing the Godzilla Big Head All-Star Weekend. Only 8 years old and putting the smackdown on these bitch-ass niggas. Here he is winning the three-point contest, making it rain like Lil Wayne out this motherfucker, without even taking off his warm-ups or his Timbs, nigga. And later, he bust Vince Carter's ass in the slam dunk contest. Look at this right here. Look. Man, I've seen it all. Ernie, nigga, back to you.
This Riley Freeman, a very exciting but controversial player. Last year, he became the first person to leave elementary school and go to the NBA when the Miami Heat signed him to a $3 gazillion contract. The biggest in league history.
I don't care how much they pay him, Ernie. This kid is a disgrace to basketball. He epitomizes everything wrong with the game today.
Now, Charles, it seems to me that you're hating on Riley because he stacks paper to the ceiling and rides on 24-inch chrome.
Yeah, that's true.
No.
Now, where did that come from?
The license plate says it's from the federal government.
Attention urban poor. The Federal Health Department, in conjunction with the Center for Minority Control, is here today with complimentary flu shots. Complimentary means free.
Oh, it's free?
Free needles? God is good.
Hey, whoa. What the hell, Hop, are you people doing? Have you forgotten all your conspiracy learnings? Listen, the government uses projects to test all kinds of poisons. Syphilis, crack, the McChitlins.
Oh, those chitlins made me mix sick.
Now you see what I'm talking about.
Hold on, everybody. This is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we, the people. I'm sure there's nothing to fear.
I don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value.
The picture behind me is of ZIYAH, and that will always be haunting because it was taken just a short time before the evidence shows that she was never seen or heard from again. It was taken by ZIYAH herself, a selfie. That's the last known picture that we know about of her. And it was pointed out to me by one of the detectives on this case and by one of the prosecutors. She is smiling and waving and saying hello. But little did she know that she was really saying goodbye.
This story is so incredibly tragic. ZIYAH Harris, little 13-year-old girl, should be enjoying those teenage years, you know? Should be having fun, laughing with her friends, going to school, learning, doing all of those things, but she's not.
Fair use. Hollywood is not enough. Part 2, case of ZIYAH Harris.
That was the prosecutor from Wayne County. Here she is talking about the evidence against the man that they have accused of the murder. And there's a connection between this man and ZIYAH's family, and a lot of the facts here are disturbing, to say the least.
The evidence shows overwhelmingly in this case that she is in fact deceased. The last time she was seen alive was January the 9th of this year, 2024, almost 9 months ago. Her missing status was reported to the Detroit Public School Police Department by her grandmother on that very day, when she never returned home from school. And again, that was January the 9th, 2024. In early February of 2024, the case was turned over to the Detroit Police Department. Frankly, that should have happened right away, but they began investigating immediately. The evidence would further show that through text messages that we know and that we have, ZIYAH and this defendant were going to meet after school on January the 9th. We know that she did indeed meet up with the defendant that we're charging in this case. We also know
and apparently his co-worker. This thing just gets weirder and weirder. Let's keep going.
Know that several people close to Mr. Butts, who we were charging later, saw them together in several different locations, people that he knew well. We have evidence that at 9:30 p.m. on that day, that Mr. Butts checked into a motel and that ZIYAH was never seen or heard from again. Not from her family, not from her schoolmates, not from her friends, not from social media where she was extremely active with her friends, not from teachers, no one. We know that she had no medical conditions that would cause a life-threatening medical emergency to her. And he, again, was the last person that saw her alive. She would have turned 14 years old just 10 days ago on September the 16th of 2024. And again, no one has seen or heard from her. You look at that face and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing. The evidence will show that from one of her text messages to and with Jarvis Butts. And we also know, the evidence will show, that there's no evidence of anyone else being the father of...
Y'all be like, these light-skinned brothers get away with murder. These Boris Kojo's, Boris Kojo ass looking niggas. Let's keep going.
That child, other than the defendant himself, who we charged.
I just want to know why one of my man's braids is bigger than the other, but I get it. The gel hairstylist ain't gonna do you justice. I got you, Ak. Let's keep it going.
Today, and he knew she was pregnant. We know that he was also searching for ways to abort the baby. We know that sexually explicit photos were requested by him of her.
My God, I get it, ladies. Like I really do understand. Don't nobody want to be alone, and you know, the saying goes that some women will accept a half a man when they, as opposed to no man at all. But ladies, this man has been on the registry since 2005. I don't care if he got a little bit of money. He's a handsome dude, light skinned, you know what I'm saying? Light skinned, with long hair. Probably talk that good game to him. Run the auto body shop. Got his own business. You know what I'm saying? So women, a lot of women would fall for that. A lot of women would fall subject to what he's doing. But these are the type of brothers that really give all the other brothers a horrible name. But also, these are the type of brothers that unfortunately have a plethora of women hanging around them, as this man had 5 children with her aunt, but I believe 9 or 10 children overall. He was engaged to another woman, had another woman, as he had multiple girlfriends, as his defense attorney specified. He had a lot of girlfriends. So this man was having relations with older women while preying on these younger women at the same time. This is just crazy. But then when statements is made that it be the same dudes having multiple children with these women, it be multiple women having all their babies with these one dudes, and it be the same type of guy spreading these diseases. This man allegedly spreading chlamydia to a 4-year-old. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And you know whispers was going around the neighborhood about this dude, yet he's getting unfettered access to women, unfettered access to young ladies, unfettered access to little girls as young as 4 years old. What is even exciting about that, sir? This is crazy. Like, I've read the psychology reports about, you know, just the dominance and the control and blah blah blah. This is demonic. This is demonic, man. The book of Matthew, chapter 18, verse 6. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned, in the depth of the sea. That he were drowned in the depth of the sea. That is a fitting end for someone like this. Let's keep going.
On January the 9th. We know that she did indeed meet up with the defendant that we're charging in this case. We also know that several people close to Mr. Butts, who we were charging later, saw them together in several different locations, people that he knew well. We have evidence that at 9:30 p.m. on that day, that Mr. Butts checked into a motel, and the ZIYAH was never seen or heard from again.
Now, I don't know why this young lady throwing up these type of signs with her hands, and I don't know what's going on in this young lady life. If they remove the lower third, it looked like she's throwing some type of gang sign right here. The girl had been being fed for a long time before this situation got this far. Let's keep it going.
Not from her family, not from her schoolmates, not from her friends, not from social media where she was extremely active with her friends, not from teachers, no one. We know she had no medical condition that was
Life is
causing a
ruined.
life-threatening medical emergency to her. And he, again, was the last person that saw her alive. She would have turned 14 years old just 10 days ago on September the 16th of 2024. And again, no one has seen or heard from her. You look at that face and you do not see the horrors that she had gone through in her short life. The exploitation, the molestations, the sexual abuse, and the pregnancy that she was concealing. The evidence will show that from one of her text messages to and with Jarvis Butts. And we also know, the evidence will show, that there's no evidence of anyone else being the father of that child, other than the defendant himself, who we charged today. And he knew she was pregnant. We know that he was also searching for ways to abort the baby. We know that sexually explicit photos were requested by him of her and that she complied and sent them to her. All at the hands, we allege, the man we are charging with her death and also her long-term sexual abuse. Today, we are charging Jarvis Butts with 1 count of first-degree premeditated murder, 1 count of criminal sexual conduct in the second degree, and 1 count of child sexually abusive material. Today, we are also charging Mr. Butts with more counts of criminal sexual conduct on 2 more girls, yes, girls, on 2 other separate cases. The girls in question now are 20 and 11 respectively today, but both were under the age of 13 years old at the time the offenses occurred that we're charging. Based on all the evidence that I've laid out now and much more that will be shown later in court, based on all these cases that we will present in court, Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He would have relationships with their mothers, but his true desire was to have sex with their young daughters. That's what the evidence will show. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile.
Sounds so familiar. A lot of parallels with this case and what happened to Madeline Soto down in Florida. And it's these predators. They know how to do it. They know how to get close to children. And that's apparently what happened here. I want to bring in a special guest with us tonight. Joining us from Detroit, Michigan, ZIYAH Harris's cousin, Roxy. Roxy, thank you so much for joining us. This is a huge...
Yeah, let's dig into this interview. Come on, Roxy. Come on, Roxy. What you got to say? Let's go.
Development in the case. Wanted to get first your reaction.
Now, if you notice, she has a "Where is ZIYAH" shirt, that she's rocking. I personally don't want to wear his ZIYAH shirt. I will take a "Grandma, why you let this predator in ZIYAH in the house" shirt, or a "Grandma, why you let this predator in ZIYAH's room" shirt. I will take a "Auntie, why you dating this pedo" shirt. I'll take those shirts in a couple colors, size XXX. Please send those my way. I'll rock those. But I'm not rocking a "Where's ZIYAH" shirt, because if y'all had all this care about this child, where was the care when this dude first came around? Where is the care when Auntie is dating this dude? Where is the concern? Why not move her away if this dude is going to be allowed to come around because of Auntie, because he got 5 kids with Auntie? Why not move her a million miles away from him? I just want to know. Don't ask where is she at. Where was y'all moral compass when this was going on?
Action to the prosecutor, Kim Worthy, making the announcement that the charges have been brought in this case.
It's definitely a sense of relief here to finally be able to hear her say those words that we've been knowing from the beginning. Like I said in our last interview, we, considering his background and things like that, we had our suspicions, and we're glad that they finally came to light today.
So can you explain for us the connection of Jarvis Butts and ZIYAH and ZIYAH's family and your family?
The connection with Jarvis is Jarvis was ZIYAH's aunt, boyfriend. And they also have children together as well. So that was how he was able to be around the family, as the immediate family that ZIYAH was living with I assume as often as he wanted to be.
And his history, how well did people know his history and what he liked to do, which was prey upon children?
His history was very well known. I mean, he did do time in prison before for sexual misconduct of a 13-year-old girl or under as well. And I think he did 10 years in prison for that as well. And it was also very well known to her aunt, who was her boyfriend, that he let it be known to her as well that he was also, a sexual predator, and he left the decision up to her whether she wanted to.
He let it be known that he was a predator, and he left it up to her whether she wanted to be with him or not. And she chose to be in a relationship with a predator. Think about that, y'all. Like, really ponder that in your noodle for a moment. He told her up front, yeah, this is what it is. You with it? Yeah. I'm telling you, if I was Judge Sabu or Sabu, forgive me for mispronouncing your name. A name you would have rolled. But you oughta put chains on the door. Oh, I'm bringing in all the court officers and all you niggas get locked up. Fuck we talk. What are we talking about?
Or under as well, and I think he did 10 years in prison for.
Oh, Ghetto, you too over the top. You see, this is you be doing too much. What you mean you gonna lock everybody up? You heard me.
That as well, and it was also very well known to her aunt, who was her boyfriend, that he let it be known to her as well that he was also a sexual predator, and he left the decision up to her whether she wanted to continue to have a relationship with him, and she continued to have a relationship with him, knowing that he previously had those charges against him, did time for it, and that he was a registered sex offender.
How long? Because what the prosecutor said, Prosecutor Worthy, the long-term sexual abuse, and that's the part that just breaks your heart. How long did he have access to ZIYAH?
From what the prosecutor said, they said that they have messages going back to 2022. However, I personally believe that he's been around the family longer than that, considering the fact of, the amount of children that he has with ZIYAH's aunt.
5, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 children she had with a known predator.
With ZIYAH's aunt, and those children, I think the oldest is probably 11 or 12 years old. So he's been around for a while.
I want to take a listen to the prosecutor here who was answering a question during this press conference. Let's take a listen.
Some of ZIYAH's relatives said they previously had talked to CPS about allegations of sexual abuse both ZIYAH and other kids. Did that ever make it to your office? Is that something that police have investigated before?
Yeah, let me just say this, that if anyone that is watching this press conference right now or reads any of the coverage that I'm sure that you will give this, has any reason to believe that they were a victim of his or that they know something else, we certainly welcome them to contact the Detroit Police Department.
So it wasn't a direct answer to the question.
Yeah, she didn't answer the question at all. They asked, the family said they called CPS multiple times. What's up? What happened with that? Oh, well, let me say this. If anybody thinks they've been a victim, please call the police. Okay, but what about the time the family called CPS? And I'm not absolving the family, but I just think it's funny that the Center for Trafficking Children, Child Protective Services is getting absolved. The women is getting absolved, and we're just going to focus on these crappy itchy, horrible men. We can't fix the whole just dealing with half the problem, y'all. We just can't. Let's keep going.
But Roxy, from the position of the family, is there any level of frustration that the family knew of this, they were reaching out and nothing was done? Is anyone, like, there's obvious blame, Jarvis Butts is the one, right? But is there any level of shared blame amongst anyone else who didn't do anything here?
I mean, absolutely. There's definitely lots of frustration within the family. You know, there were family members that called CPS several times. There were family members that called the police as well, and nothing came of it. You know, CPS is supposed to be, you know, safeguard welfare for our children, and they're supposed to be able to respond promptly and do thorough investigations to be able to negate, you know, reports of abuse and neglect. And
what about your aunt not being with him? What about your grandma moving her away from him? What about your grandma not giving her permission to go clean up his shop? What about any of that? Or none of that matters? Let's just blame the outsider. You see, this is what I be talking about. We don't even look out for ourselves anymore, and then we quick to point the finger at these outside organizations with how they then come in and handle the problem. Because a lot of times we just looking to sue somebody. This is disgusting, man. Like, when do we hold ourselves accountable as the first line of defense for our family, for our community, for our ones that we say we love? When is it our responsibility to take care of it first? Or it's not. All we do is we're going to light some candles, put up some balloons, put on some t-shirts. That's what we do. Start hemming and hawing and singing and marching. We're not done with this yet. Let's keep going.
And because of the reports of the abuse and the neglect and the molestation that were reported to Child Protective Services, and for it to just seem like, you know, there wasn't a thorough investigation being done or just turned a blind eye. And unfortunately, it's brought us to this very unfortunate event, which is, you know, my cousin being deceased today.
That's exactly the problem here, right? It's Child Protective Services. We want them to protect them before this happens. If we know of something, see something, say something, make a report.
We want parents to protect them when we see something. Let's keep going, man. This is crazy. Just absolving all the women and let's just blame these government organizations. But then when the government organizations want to come in and just take all the kids because nobody in the family wants to seem to be a line of defense for the children, oh, they're just stealing all the children out the community. They're just kidnapping all the children. And then the children end up getting trafficked in their presence. But the first line of defense for these children, the first people that's supposed to stand up and say no, is completely down for the get down. Let's go.
And unfortunately, ZIYAH was not protected in all of that. I have to point out that your shirt says, "Where is ZIYAH?" because she still hasn't been found.
Right.
How important?
I'm telling you, print me out a shirt that says, "Auntie, why you dating a pedo? Auntie, why you dating this pedo? Auntie, why you got 5 kids with a predator? Grandma, why you let this man in ZIYAH's bedroom? Grandma, why you keep letting this man in the house? Print my shirts for me and send them to the boy. Let's go."
Right, her body is still, they do not have her, they have not found her body, they do not have her body, so we will continue to ask, you know, where is ZIYAH, so that we can be able to get
where is Auntie?
That she
where is Nene?
She didn't deserve any of
where
this.
is Grandma? See, look at this floating balloon. See, you can't make this ish up.
To happen to her. She was only 13 years old, or you know, 14, just, you know, 10 days ago. And it was hard to even try to have a celebration for her because it was not a celebration, and it should have been. So we will continue to ask where is Neziah until we get those answers, because she needs to properly be laid to rest properly, because she deserves that.
Absolutely. And Roxy, it's important that the family does exactly what you're doing. You know, let everyone know this doesn't end right now. It doesn't end with an arrest. It doesn't end with a conviction.
Right.
We need to find Neziah as well. Roxy, thank you so much. We'll speak again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about this case. Now it's in our system of justice. You heard about the charges. You heard about CPS. Weighs in next.
We must be very careful who we let into our hearts and our homes and our lives, especially if you have children. Mr. Butts targeted and befriended women who had to have sexual relationships with their young daughters. He would have relationships with their mothers, but his true desire was to have sex with their young daughters. That's what the evidence will show. He was a classic and expert groomer and pedophile.
There he is, the accused murderer. Made his way into that family so he could allegedly prey upon little Neziah for years. For years. It sounds so familiar, and unfortunately it is. I want to bring in our think tank, Eklund Mercy, Kirk Nurmi, Nima Romani. Here's the question, and I'll start with you, Kirk. Like, if the guy is a convicted child molester, gets out, we know who he is. The family, at least part of the family, very concerned. They're reaching out to CPS. If we can't protect that child, who can we protect?
You're right, Vinny. I mean, the sad reality is we have predators like this. You mentioned Madeline Soto. There was a little less different. We also think about Sandra Birchmore, and some of the accused is a police officer there. So yes, we can do all we can, and the prosecutor's advice to be very careful of who we let in our home and have access to our children is very important, very well taken. And sadly, you know, you can see this over and over again. We just mentioned a couple cases. These predators are so adept, and that's one of the reasons I believe that someone convicted of a crime of this nature, a leopard doesn't change his spot, and Mr. Butts should have been in prison for the rest of his life once convicted of such crime, so he wouldn't be in a position where he is now. I think that's where the real solution lies.
I agree. Nima, they don't get better, they get worse. But here's the problem, right? Like, the time that the system has to step in is when a child is not being protected at home. Like, that's the purpose of child protective services. Known pedophile, makes his way into the family, and there is someone in the family, I think more than one, reached out to CPS. Like, I don't understand how this continues to happen, how they don't, 2 + 2 = 4. Like, it's simple. Like, someone's got to step in if the family's concerned, but there's some sort of fracture in the family about this particular man and what his role is. Someone has to step in and help the child.
Nah, there needed to be a fraction in this man's jaw, a fraction in his skull, a fraction in his cranium, a fraction in his shoulder blade, a fraction in his leg. The family don't need to be fractured. Several bones on this man's body needed to be fractured. You understand me? All right, then.
Vinny, you're absolutely right. The system is broken, and they absolutely let down Neziah. First prosecutors and the courts for giving him a second and third chance when he's molested others under the age of 13. You have family members. Obviously, Butts has a apparently sexual relationship with Neziah's aunt, and that gives him access. Where the family members doing? Apparently, some of them called CPS, but they didn't step in. And even with respect to Neziah herself.
Yeah, I'm not sure what she's doing right here with this little hand gesture. This young girl had a lot going on, clearly. Let's keep it going.
himself. You know, there's a coworker that sees what's going on. There's Butts. These are all allegations. Of course, Butts' own sister. They check into a motel together. She hasn't had her menstrual cycle. She's pregnant at the age of 13. I mean, there's so many warning signs, Vinny. And if anyone had stepped in and done their job and done the right thing to protect this young girl, she'd probably still be alive today.
Eklund, you know, people who work for CPS don't get paid a lot. They've got tons of cases. They got tons of files. But I'm looking at this from that perspective and all the adults in her life. And no one took the action necessary to save her. No one.
I actually have a problem with it. It starts with, since 2005, Mr. Butts was on the sex offender registry. He currently is on the sex offender registry and is showing as compliant. When you are on the sex offender registry, you can't even be around a child, look at a child, be on social media or anything like that. He wasn't even supposed to be in the same vicinity of this child, let alone be able to do anything. The moment anybody called anybody with regards to him being in the vicinity of a child, he should have been arrested because he's on the sex offender registry. So it's not.
It's like violating the terms of your parole.
It's a criminal issue because he is a criminal and he was on the sex offender registry. But currently, those that are in charge of it have him currently as compliant. So the system, it broke in 2005, not in 2024. So this man has been able, he did what he was supposed to do. The people who put him on the list didn't do what they were supposed to do. And this is a problem. He's been on the list since 2005.
Kirk, there seems to be no purpose of the list. Like, what's the, we make a list. All right, here's a list. That's great. You've got to do something about the list. There has to be some level of monitoring, follow-up, some level of coordination. So it's the family, you know, adults in her life are letting her down at home. And then you've got the other part that our system is not getting the job done, filling the gaps where they need to. It's absolutely mind-numbingly frustrating, Kirk.
Those CPS workers need to be held accountable. Those CPS workers need to be held accountable. The school counselor who she alleged to try to go talk to needs to be held accountable. How can any of these people continue to have jobs? How can any of these people continue to have jobs? The hotel managers, the people at the front desk who allegedly let this man check in with a minor. And I get it. Oh, what if they thought it was her daughter? Stop it, guys. Come on, guys. These hotels be knowing the vibe, and we knowing that unfortunately, some of these young girls be working for trafficking rings, and they be in and out of these hotels. Several people dropped the ball, but that front line of defense, that auntie, that mama, that grandma, that nene, Tay-Tay, where y'all at, man? Don't put on a t-shirt talking about where is she. Where is y'all morality? Where is y'all moral compass?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, but Eklund raises an excellent point. You know, once that family members, once they contacted authorities, if he's on a sex offender registration, whether it's related to an offense for which he's on probation or whether it is a new offense violating those terms, being in contact with minors, that should in fact be enough to put him in prison, not just have CPS intervention. So to some extent, in the defense of the family, they really did all they could in the sense of with authorities.
How did the family do all they could? They could have moved that child away from this man. They could have never given him access to the home, never given her permission to go work for him in his shop. There are several things they could have done. They could have told the school, yo, if this man comes to try to pick our daughter up, you will call the police because he is an offender and he is not allowed to be around children. There are a myriad of things they could have done. Don't give me these excuses, man. I don't want to hear it. I'm tired of just the men. Oh, this man's a monster. 100% a fact. But would he have been allowed to be so monstrous, to practice his monstrosity in the community, if the community wasn't complacent and let him rock because he might be slightly handsome, got some money, got a business? Did they just, for peeling off a couple layers of that paper, did they allow these children to be harmed?
It was the police and what have you that failed to follow up on the sex offender registration. And one of the explanations for that is there's a lot of people on that registration, which people can fall through the cracks, which goes back to my point earlier, the idea that they shouldn't be out. There shouldn't be a sex offender registration list. There should just be a sex offender prison with a lifelong residency.
I agree. Kirk Nurmi, Nima Rahmani, Ekla Mercy, great to see you. Thank you so much.
Shout out to Core TV for that, man. Listen, gang, we getting out of here. Appreciate everybody who came by for the first go around. I'm very confident because I done gave my audio mixed to the side eye like 100 gazillion times that this one should be a good to go. Support the movement, support the movement, support the movement. Without y'all, this train can go off the tracks at any moment. $, his ghetto point of view. $, his ghetto point of view. $, his ghetto point of view. I humbly thank and appreciate each and every one of y'all who continue to donate to the movement. It is y'all that allow this thing to keep going. We gonna get out of here, gang. This has been a crazy one, but it's because of the support of people like you. We make it through this together. We will stop this hyper focus on one side of the problem, and we will fix this problem together by looking at it as a whole, so we can heal and get this thing back together and get back to loving on the community like we need to. Peace and blessings, gang.
Thank you for coming. I'll see you in hell.
Love to the tribe. To the next one.
All the people with the backwards attitude, pointing fingers, and that's a bad excuse for sitting on your ass when you get paid.